Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out. I'm very happy to be here this morning. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks, Amanda, for the introduction. I'm thrilled to be following Linda Thomas Greenfield, who I've known actually for quite a long time, since our children were in playgroup together in Banjul in the Gambia. And I honestly think she is one of the finest representatives of the United States that I have ever met or worked with. And so it's really great that she was able to kick things off today. Before I start, just two quick things that I wanted to bring to your attention. Amadou and I will be speaking on Thursday at Brookings specifically on the IMF's new regional economic outlook for Africa. So if you're interested in that, I think it's at 10 o'clock Thursday morning at Brookings, is that right? So we're going to dig in more on the economics if you're interested in that. Also, the IMF this month has come out with their new edition of Finance and Development, which is their quarterly online magazine, and it's focused on Sub-Saharan Africa. So there's a set of relatively short, good articles on Africa that just came out from the IMF, and you might want to take a look at that. Our session this morning is to focus on big trends in Sub-Saharan Africa, which is always kind of fun, but always dangerous as well. When you look at big pictures, there are 100 big trends we could talk about and think about, so I'm certainly going to miss some. And of course, when you fly at 100,000 feet, we're going to miss some of the granularity as well. But we'll start with that and then get into more of the granularity as we go through the day. What I want to do is just quickly touch on 6 big trends that I see in Sub-Saharan Africa. Some of them past, but the past sets the foundation for the future, and some of them in the future. Number one, I think one of the biggest trends over the last 2 decades in Sub-Saharan Africa is the diversity and the divergence in experiences and performance. I think it is just impossible, and I think it's quite frustrating for people to continue to talk about Sub-Saharan Africa doing X, either emerging, rising, exploding, falling apart, whatever. And we still try to take all of these countries and jam them into one particular perspective, and it just doesn't make any sense. And I think to really understand the continent, especially over the last couple of decades, you've got to pull it apart. Now that's a little frustrating because you can't look at every single country individually, but I do think there are some groups of countries that have some characteristics, but there are just really big differences between the countries that have performed fairly well economically, which largely coincides with the countries that have shifted towards democracy. Big differences between them and a large number of countries that have made very, very little progress. And you can see that. I've got some charts. Anybody who knows me knows that I can't possibly speak without data, but you've got some charts in there, and that diversity of experience is reflected in Figure 1, which has 4 different groups of countries. The 4 different groups of countries are on the back of that page. They come from a book that I did 6 or 7 years ago. So the grouping of the countries might not be perfect today, but I stick with it. But the chart, Figure 1, shows it's an index of GDP per capita in 4 different groups in Sub-Saharan Africa. And the 17 countries that I call the emerging countries, average income in real terms has doubled since 1995, doubled for those 17 countries. For the oil exporters, which always have to be separated out, always, the performance has been fairly good since oil prices went up in 2002. We'll get back to where we'll come back to where those are right now. There's a bunch of countries, 6 countries that I call threshold countries that aren't quite doing as well as others, but pretty well: Liberia, Sierra Leone, Kenya, and a couple of others. And then the bottom line there is the stagnating countries. And you see that the average income in those countries has not changed in 20 years. And part of our challenge here in thinking about Sub-Saharan Africa is this group of countries in which incomes have doubled, juxtaposed against a group of countries where income has risen by nothing in the last 20 years. And then between them, you've got these oil exporting countries. So this big trend of divergence shows up very, very clearly.